Hello and welcome to the first episode of Why Are You Single? My name is Josue Peralta. I am your host for today and also the person to be interviewed. I have a list of questions here that I've made for all of our guests, including for myself. I realize it's kind of cheating, but the whole point is to get to know why we're single and really know that we're not alone through it. I realize that some of my experiences may be similar to yours. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first section we have on here is introduction to the person. So a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Josue Peralta and I live in Greenfield, Wisconsin. I am 28 years old and I work as a web designer and photographer and I guess now podcast producer. I've been a website designer for the last nearly 10 years, I think a little over 8 years at this point. I enjoy it. Photography is an acquired taste of mine. I enjoy that too, though I will say I enjoy doing free work more than paid work. I don't know why that is. I just do. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do with my time. Yeah, it's a little bit about me. So the next section is why am I currently single? So the first question here is why are you single? Is it by circumstance or choice? Tell me more. Okay. So why am I single? Is it by circumstance or choice? Um, it's a little bit of both. So let's start with the choice one. I have mentioned on the podcast and I've mentioned to other people that I don't feel currently ready to date for a couple of reasons. The first of which is that I feel like I need more money. And that may seem a little weird, like, wow, you have your own business, whatever, whatever. And while that may be true, I don't feel like I have enough to like say to somebody, hey, let's go ahead and, make our lives together or dive into that. Because I don't have enough to be able to make a timeline for someone and be like, hey, you know, let's say we start dating, things go well from here to 8 months to a year. I think I'm going to be ready to get married, things like that. Um, I just don't feel like I have enough. Now, I realize that may sound dumb to a lot of people, but I feel like I need a whole lot more of it in order to start dating. Plus, I feel like women are expensive, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just the way it is. I want to treat whoever I'm with respect and um, treat her to nice things, I guess. So money is one of the things that I would say I do need to get better. The other thing is, and this is something I've been thinking about currently for a while now, which is that I feel like I am currently still in my experimental phase of my life. Now, that's interesting to say because usually this is something you do in your early 20s, but my early 20s were a little bit weird. Now, what my life was like in my early 20s was I didn't have enough money to go to school at first. So I went straight into the workforce and I started working for the government. And I enjoyed that for the time that I was there. I felt prestigious. I felt really cool about it, but I really wasn't going anywhere. So I started praying. I was like, God, I don't know what I can do. Like, what is the deal? What's going on? And that's when I started designing websites, and then I launched my own company almost six years ago, etc. And that's kind of been maturing and whatnot. But as of, let's say, last summer, or even a little bit before that, um, I've been wanting to do some more experimenting and trying some new things, and and experimenting necessarily requires, or correction, it necessarily is a little bit unstable. So, like my life, one day could be all podcasts all the time, and another day could be all work all the time. It's just not stable enough, I would say, to provide someone with the regularity that I feel a relationship would provide. So I feel like I want to keep trying some new things while I'm still in my 20s. Now, I've done a lot while I've in my 20s. I've traveled a whole bunch. Um, I've gotten into photography and videography, both of which I've mastered to an extent. Those are kind of things that I wouldn't have had the freedom or the ability to sink a lot of money into had I been married or in a relationship. So I feel like I'm still in that stage in my life by choice. And I'm not I don't think I'm quite done with it, especially with this podcast. Like, for example, I started this July. We launched July of last year, but this has been in the works since March of last. The correction, since January of last year. So this is something that I've been putting a lot of work into. And I've mentioned before that, each episode from start to finish almost takes a full 24 hours to do. And, if we do one episode a week, that's almost like another part-time job there. And it's just so much work that I don't feel like I can fit somebody into it. Into my current schedule, I should say. Though it could be for lack of better planning. Although I am a planner at heart, I am a planner by just nature, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just running from it. But currently, I don't feel like I have the time for it because I'm currently, I guess, in my experimental stage of life. So I would say that that's the choice aspect of it. Now, the circumstances part of it is that there isn't, there aren't women here where I live currently who either have the same mindset or who I'm attracted to, or I guess are as far along in their development as people as I would like, I guess, is a way of putting it. So I guess lack of numbers would be the circumstances. Now, could I move to California and be around more women my age who, do have their stuff together? Sure, absolutely. But I don't feel like I'm there yet. Like, again, going back to the being in an experimental part of life currently. Um, so yeah, I don't know. The circumstances thing could definitely change, though. I wouldn't say I'm desperate, meaning that I still would want to build something here, and then if the Lord brings someone along, amen to that. And if I have to move somewhere else to find her, amen to that too. But currently, I would say I'm not in a position to date. So why am I single? I guess because I choose to be, and number two, because I guess there isn't anyone nearby who I would want to date, I guess, like that. So, one thing I did mention to somebody that I guess is worth mentioning here is the fact that women usually want a guy to have their stuff together for obvious reasons. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, women want a guy who I guess has their life more put together than they do, because they want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. Like they want someone who is like, oh, okay, even if I don't, he does, or he has a plan, or whatever it is, to provide direction. And again, with being in another building phase of my life, I feel like there are, even if there were the numbers, I don't know if, and this could just be a misunderstanding on my part, or maybe I just don't know very well, but I don't. I have a feeling that women don't really want to build with guys anymore. They, uh, which is fine. I mean, you have the absolute right to go do your life, go be a professional, and have a wonderful life at it. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that. So because I feel like women don't really want to build with anyone, um, that prohibits me from, I guess, seeing myself as dateable material. Again, because I choose to be in this stage of my life currently. So um, that's a really roundabout way of, I guess, saying why I'm single. Whew, that was long. All right. So, okay. So, if by circumstances, let's see, tell me more about the circumstances, be as precise as possible. So I mentioned a little bit more about the circumstances that I don't feel like there are enough women here who are either my age, who I'm attracted to, or who are far along in their life development in order for me to be like, you feel like, I feel like life with you would be great, and I feel like I can trust you as a woman. Crap, that sounded really wrong. In terms of what do you mean by trust you as a woman? I guess what I mean is like be able to carry your own. There are some people who I know who, uh, like you wouldn't be able to trust them with somewhat with a huge responsibility. So in that, it is in that, I guess, sense that I mean, like, um, that I would struggle with that because I carry a lot of responsibility by choice, and if I'm to link my life or with someone else, I feel like that person would also be would have to be capable of carrying large loads as well. I don't know. I could be wrong or singular in that opinion, but all right. Let's see. The second question, if by circumstances, is: are the circumstances more related to the personal life or church related, i.e., lack of options? I think I mentioned that there was just a lack of numbers, so it's more church related, I guess. I have done the whole. Okay, so that's another thing that leans more to the circumstances. I've done a lot of traveling, so it hasn't been for a lack of trying, I guess. I've gone to almost every single church in Wisconsin. Like, let's see, Spanish churches, I think I've gone to, if not 100%, in the upper 90s, for sure. And then for the English speaking churches, I've gone to, okay, not all, especially not in like the upper western side of Wisconsin or like the mega north, but in all the metropolitan areas, I've definitely gone to them. So it hasn't been for a lack of trying. And then obviously I've gone all across the country. So 100% that's been the case. That it's just, again, lack of options. And then the next question is: how difficult are those circumstances to overcome? I mentioned before that I could move to, let's say, California, which a friend of mine calls it Last Chance Ranch. And I said, ugh, that sounds absolutely weird. Who calls it that? That sounds like you're desperate. And I definitely don't want to come off as desperate because I'm not. I have time. So how difficult are those circumstances to overcome? I would say not terrible. I'd have to like put more effort into my work rather than like some personal projects, and then move to California, which is doubly as expensive as it is here. I'd have to get involved into other areas, like, or I should say, in into different churches there. So how hard would that be for me? It would require a lifestyle change for sure. And I'd have to fall in love with California. I don't know. I guess it'd be more of a mental thing if I could really overcome that. But otherwise, I think money would be the biggest obstacle there. Well, no, that's not true. Money and lifestyle. So, all right. Let's see. The next question is, again, still we're referencing circumstances. What have you done or can you do to change those circumstances? So I mentioned before that I have been traveling. So what can I do to change those circumstances? I could travel some more or just spend more time where more Adventist, I guess, women are. So I have another question here, which is a little bit more provocative, which is: are your friends single? Why? And is there any correlation? Ooh, that's interesting. So, what percentage of my friends are single? I would say like a solid 50, if not more, percent are single, which is interesting because, okay, so the reason I put this in here is because it's like are your single friends keeping you single? And for me, I don't think that's the case. Again, I don't really have a difficulty talking to women. I used to have a lot of difficulty talking to women. It was very cumbersome. It was very nerve wracking to me to talk to the pretty girl. But I kind of learned from my brother and through experience of my own to not be afraid of talking to women. So in terms of like, are my friends keeping me single? I would say no, but if more of them were in a relationship, I think I would be more pressured to would I be more pressured into being in a relationship myself? Yeah, probably. I think I would feel more pressure to be in a relationship. Not necessarily that I would succumb to the pressure, but I definitely feel more like, "Ugh, okay, I mean, maybe I should, like think more hard or think more thoroughly about, the current options that I have and maybe compromise. I'd be like, I think I can live with her or something like that. Although that sounds absolutely wrong. Although I mean, everybody has to make compromises, obviously. And that's maybe something I've been thinking about a lot in the last maybe no, actually this entire year. I've been thinking about what's that like to know like where the difference between, I guess, feeling like you're what's the word? Oh, I just lost it. I'm sorry. Feeling like you're uh why is it not coming to me? Forgive me. Feeling like you're compromising and feeling like you're losing out on something, but at the same time you're also like, so realizing that there are a lot of opportunities out there and that nobody's going to be perfect. Like, I'm far from perfect and everybody knows that, and I make no qualms about that. So then the question becomes, it's like, okay, well, what parts of, or what parts can I successfully compromise so that I can have a successful relationship with Miss I'm not perfect because I'm Mr. Not Perfect. So that's something that I haven't come to a conclusion on, though I have been more thinking about it recently these last couple of weeks. So there's that. Okay, so then the next section is if by choice. So, for example, if you could say, "Oh, I'm single by choice." Okay, so what has led you to to decide to stay single for the time being? I mentioned that I don't feel ready, money wise. I don't feel like I have a lot of time to offer, and I don't feel like I'm stable enough to provide a woman with a life, with a relational life, like being a boyfriend to her, if that makes sense. Um, so because I don't feel like I have those things ready, um, I feel like I would definitely want to stay single for the time being. The next question is, how did you come to that conclusion? I already mentioned that. For how long have you been, or do you plan to stay single? Ooh, that's an interesting one. So I have been single for the last, oh God, let's see. It was, okay, for the last 4 years. I've been single for 4 years now. And how long do I plan to stay single? Ah, man, this is such a hard one. It's so difficult for me because I do, man, I don't know. Um, I don't really want to put a time frame to it, but that's because I'm shy about it, or I don't really want to paint myself into a corner. Um, because what that would mean is I'd have to, the experimental part of my life would have to conclude, and the, like, betting it all on one thing and seeing how that goes and starting over if I have to. I'd have to end that part of my life. Man, I don't know. Um, if I have to put a number to it, I would say by the end of the year, if not a year from now. So by the end of next spring, if not the end of this year. Um, just because, I mean, I don't really have a lot more to try out, I guess, like in my bucket list. So I think it's fine if I like give myself a nice timeline to just finish at the end of this year. And if things go tremendously well on one of my experiments, I don't really want to finish that, then probably a year from now. But I think I do want to cap it to before I'm 30, 100%. I mean, I'm 28 now. I turned 29 in a couple months. So, I mean, this entire 28 year has been experimental for me and just starting over, I guess. It's been an interesting year. So, yeah, probably another couple, like 6 months to a year, I would say. That sounds crazy to say out loud because for me, I'm the kind of guy who I like to keep moving forward and trying new things. I hate complacency. I'm not a really big fan of routine. Although I need my routines, I have my routines, but as long as they don't feel routine-y or like routine like, so where I feel like, oh, okay, well, instead of going to work out today, I'm going to go play tennis and I can just do that in the middle of the day or something like that. I love that kind of flexibility, even though it's the same things. But as long as I feel like I have some sort of freedom in that, um, that would give me a lot of peace mentally. So Whew, that's a crazy one. I don't really want to think about it that long, but yeah, definitely for that long. So then, what would change your mind? Oh God. Okay. Um, if I meet a girl and she is absolutely wonderful, sees me in my current state of, rebuilding, trying to try out new things, sees that I don't have as much money as I want to, and I keep mentioning that because as a guy, um, money is the measure of success for a lot of us. I mean, I've done a lot of cool things in my life, but for some reason, I keep coming back to that. And it's not like I adore money. I don't by any chance. In fact, I prefer freedom and liberty more than money. And I've lived my life with that in mind. But if a girl sees me and says, you know what, I see where you're at, bro. And I'm willing to build with you. I am willing to go through this season of your life with you. I like where you're going. I like the vision that you have for your life. I like um, I don't know. I like the goals that you have, and I want to be there with you. Um, that would change my mind. I think that would definitely change my mind. Um, yeah, because I would adjust a lot of things. I would feel like I have like help, meaning that I don't have to do it alone. So that would 100% change my mind. So now is that kind of girl out there? Maybe she is. So I don't know. Whew. Man, that was hard. I had to think through that. Okay. The next big section is dating history. Oh wow. Okay. Whew. Here, actually, let me get a drink of water before I talk about that. One moment. Okay. Whew, I needed that drink. All right. Dating history. Have you ever dated before? Okay. If yes, okay. What was that person like? Okay. So I have had. Okay. So how many girlfriends have I had in the past? Let's see. I've had one, two. Wait. Hold up. One, two, three, four. I've had four girlfriends in my life. Okay, I won't name names, obviously. So the first one, there was okay. So she, oh my gosh, okay, she was very exciting to be around. She was very playful. Um, I remember her being, I don't know, just very touchy too. Not in any inappropriate way, but um, that I enjoyed thoroughly. We were only together for what, maybe like a week, something like that. This was maybe sixth grade, seventh grade, maybe. No, definitely sixth, yeah, definitely fifth or sixth grade. I remember that because we met at the local at the Waukesha. So I lived most of my life in Waukesha, and we lived at the local skate land. Or we didn't live at the skate land. We used to frequent the skate land. So we met there. We used to go on Saturday nights. My mom would take my brother and I, sometimes my sister. But yeah, we met her there, and then my brother, I think he liked her, or no, I think she like liked him first or something like that. But then she saw me and then liked me, and then we like I think we dated for like a very short amount of time. I haven't seen her since. So I hope she's well wherever she's at. Okay, my second girlfriend, she's doing well. She is all married now. What was she like? Okay, so she was very kind, and the biggest thing that attracted me to her was that she was super duper smart, like mega smart. Now, I would venture to say she's not as smart as me, but I didn't care. Um, she always gave me a run for my money. She always made me like force myself. Like I had to actually work. I had to actually think things through. I had to actually like work like at school stuff to beat her at it. And even then I lost like, I don't know, not half the time, but enough to where I'd be like, dang, like this girl is worth her weight in gold. And that's something I valued. The fact that she could keep up with me intellectually. Um, yeah, I absolutely adored that. Still, obviously beautiful, but that was probably the biggest thing that drew me to her. And plus, we were just really good friends. Um, I don't know, we just really had really good chemistry, and I enjoyed that. Now, I messed that up thoroughly. There's no way around it. I did the old oh God, I don't even know. I'm completely about to expose myself, but This was years ago now, I guess, almost 20 years ago. I did the old "I like your friend," I going for the best friend. That was a terrible move. Would not recommend. She hated me then, and so did the best friend, and that was humiliating to no end. Um, yeah, it was embarrassing, heavily embarrassing. But yeah, so she hated me for a while, and actually for years and years, and then we reconnected. Maybe like 5, 6 years later. I think she went to church, and yeah, we decided to stay friends after that. We're still good friends to this day. She's married now. It's really happy for her. She is, yeah, I guess living her life, really happy about it. We have lunch, and by we, I mean me and her husband. We have lunch like a couple times a year, so I'm pretty excited about that. Hope she's doing well. Um, yeah. So, is there anything that she taught me? She taught me that I wasn't all that. I think I was arrogant when I was younger, much more arrogant. Um, because again, I was just smarter than my class. And so she kind of put me to shame. And she's like, listen, you may be like book smart, but you're not street smart. And that really definitely tore me a new one. So I have heard a thing for that. So yeah, yeah. Dang. I did not want to relive that, but yeah, that was definitely humiliating and terrible. Um, and then the last person I dated, the last woman I dated, that was a long distance relationship. We met in San Antonio, Texas in 2015. And I was smitten from the moment I saw her. She was not like the other three. Jesus. Oh, wait. No, wait. There was one in between. I'm sorry. Um, so the other one, she was cute too. The way we met was serendipitous, I guess. Her mom was our bus driver, and she would sometimes just come on the bus with us. Anyway, I was so new to the whole dating thing and so inexperienced, and I didn't want to mess it up. And this is a true story. I would often write down questions to ask her before we hopped on the phone. How humiliating is that? Now, it's not really humiliating, but looking back now, I'm like, that's such a Josue thing to do. To like plan what you're going to talk about before we talk about it. I guess so that because I just wasn't good at in the moment. I don't know why. That's a skill I acquired later. Earlier on in my life, I was more of a studious, like no BS kind of guy. And now I am a whole lot of BS, a whole lot of that sounds so wrong, but like just like I'm just a chill guy. I don't know. I still do plan a lot, but I tend to I learned to just go with the flow and learn how to make my own flow. But at that time with that girl, I remember I literally would write down. I have one image. We were at Bible study one Friday night at one of her family friends' house. And of course, I wasn't involved in it. I was writing in my little journal, in my little notepad, questions that I would talk to her, that I would ask and talk to her later once we got home when we hopped on the phone. That was, oh man. Yeah, I think I mean, we liked each other, but it didn't really go anywhere. I don't remember how long we dated. She is not married, but she does have some kids now, so I wish her well. So there's that. And then the most recent one, like I mentioned, I met her in 2015. I think some of you listeners may have even met her. Like I was smitten from the moment I saw her. She's a great gal. I remember that my buddy, he liked her too. That was interesting. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting relationship because oh my god! Now I can't even say that. I won't say that. But I wanted to find a girlfriend. Like I wanted to find someone when I went down um to Texas, and I was praying about it. And I was like, God, please! Like I really want to find someone. I really want to find someone, and like this is the perfect opportunity. Like everybody from around the world is here, so my options, my proverbial pool or pond, it has just like increased tremendously. So if not now, like when? And that was my argument. And I was like, God, like I don't. I don't know if you're listening to me, but if you are, like, I hope this is possible, blah blah. So, how I met her was, she had gotten there late, to the events, and I was one of the leaders. Of course, I was, and of one of the projects, specifically one of the outreach projects. And there was a couple of days of outreach because we were there for an entire week, and she had gotten there a day late, along with her posse, or her what's it called? It's not rendezvous. What's that word I'm looking for? Entourage. Along with her entourage, from her country, and yeah, it was. They're like, "Hey, can we be in your group?" And I was like, "Oh, sure, excellent." So they were in my group, so I got to know her and her friends, and one of her other friends was beautiful too, and we just really had a good time. And one thing I noticed, and probably something I needed at the time, was she was just very kind. She was very kind, very attentive, and that really drew me. Apart from the fact that she was gorgeous, she still is gorgeous. But my point is that that really drew me. I think I needed that at that point in my life, and I was like, "Whoop, I like you." And I remember, um, throughout the entire week, I wanted to spend as much time with her as possible. I wanted to be around her as much as possible, and I got to for the most part. Though it wasn't until the very very last day that we got to spend the majority of our time together. Now, I had already told my buddy, I was like, "Hey, I think I like her." She's like, "Oh, I like her too, but you can have her. Like, I don't really want to do that." And I was like, "Okay, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you." And he probably just didn't like her as much as I did, which is perfectly fine. Now, I don't know why I'm going so long about so long. Well, why I'm so long-winded about it, but the point is that that Sabbath we spent a lot of time together. We went to the main church thing together, like at the big, what's it called, the Metrodome? No, the Superdome, I think it's called, in San Antonio. Um, and I remember I wanted to sit next to her, but I didn't get to, or something like that. Then we had lunch, and she was there. I specifically arranged lunch so that we would eat lunch at the same spot. I think I tagged along with them. I think that's how that worked. And then after that, we went for like a walk, just her and I. And then at the end, there was like another night session. I didn't get to sit next to her then. I was heated. And then I don't know why. I think I was just so smitten. And then we went to go get ice cream, but I think she was vegan at the time, or she was vegan, and then I decided to become vegan as soon as she said that, or I was vegan at the time. I can't remember if I was vegan before or after that, or before that. I think I no, I don't think I was vegan. I think I became vegan after that. For a while, I'm no longer vegan, but she wasn't getting ice cream, and then we just started talking, and then she started feeling sad. And it's like, hey, let's just go for a walk. So then we went for a walk, and it was a really long walk, and uh, I don't. I forget what it was, but like we went for so long that everybody had already like gone home. It's like from eating their ice cream and things like that. So it was like super duper long, and we just talked about everything and everything. And I was like, okay, I really like this girl, and it turns out that she is not terribly, you know, appalled by me. And yeah, so we had a hell of a night that night. After I dropped her off at her hotel, it was so embarrassing because I think my phone died or something. Yeah, I think my phone died, and then my buddy's phone died too, but he was just completely out of it. And then we had to take one of our other friends home because we had a car, because we had driven down there, and I forget what had happened, but um, that night we spent it in the same hotel room as like all of the people from her country, and it was so humiliating because it's like, dang, like, don't you not have your stuff together? Granted, I was 19 at the time, so I don't know, still an oaks, or I guess hindsight is 2020, but I do remember that it was very, very very weird to have that happen. And then, anyway, we stayed in touch. And yeah, we were in a relationship for 3 years, I believe. God, oh my goodness. Were we in a relationship for 3 years? There's no way. Yeah, it was 3 years, something like that. Um, I learned an entirely new language. And I was smitten. I was just head over heels. I would study Dutch just nonstop. I, I was on Duolingo and heavy on Duolingo before Duolingo was all famous and stuff. I have like a Bible in Dutch, so I could just read side by side. I even listened to Dutch radio. I would do that all the time. That's how I got my pronunciations down, and like learned that Dutch don't say goedemorgen, even though it's written like that. It's goedemorgen, and you don't pronounce like the ending of words if it ends in an en. Just like random stuff like that. That I'm not really a good learner, like in the technical sense, like verbs, conjugations, and now damn, I screw all that. All I want to know is how do you say things and why do you say them like that? And then I'll put two and two together. And that's how I did it. And I learned conversational in 6 months. Again, I was head over here for this girl. Head over heels for this girl, or as my former favorite song used to say, heels over head. Now, I was in that relationship for, like I mentioned, 3 years. And I was not a good boyfriend. And it pains me to say that. And it embarrasses me to say that, which is why I don't really talk about it that often. And there's a couple reasons why I wasn't a good boyfriend. Number one, I didn't really know what I wanted, um, and that showed itself in that I didn't really have a plan for us to be together. She was over there, I'm over here, and with me vacillating between what I wanted and what I don't want, um, that's not going to help anyone out. And it didn't help anyone out, and it was really sad. Yeah, I did not know what I wanted, um, and that really affected her because so the Dutch are just they're super planned at almost everything. I remember reading somewhere that were like, if you're 15 minutes late, don't even come. Just like honestly reschedule because they've already gone to do something else. And not to mention, like her family was super exacting. Her dad was like mega Dutch in terms of planning and stuff. So the fact that they had to deal with me was really, I guess, sad on their end. Um, I don't know. So that was one of the reasons why I was a bad boyfriend. Just bad plan, or I should say, didn't know what I wanted. Number two, I think I was arrogant in that I thought it was a better planner than I was. So we went on this trip with me and her family, and they decided to, give me the reins to what we would do because it's like I think her dad's first time in the U.S. and I botched that trip. We did a lot of cool stuff, but it was nowhere near enough what it could have been had I been a better planner. I've learned a lot since then to the point where I will not make the same mistakes again regarding that. That's probably one of my strong suits now. But it was because I had to make that mistake, that she had to, for lack of a better term, suffer through, a 19, 20, 21-year-old Josue, that I guess I'm really, really good with planning now. So, yeah, that's another one. What else? Oh, third reason why that relationship didn't work out. Oh, why I was a bad boyfriend was because I was insecure. I was mega insecure about a lot of things. I don't know what it was. Oh, well, okay. So one of the reasons of my insecurity was because I didn't really have a good relationship with my mom. So I think God, I am about to say this, but I think what I tried to do was use her as a substitute for my mom. That sounds terrible, but kind of like have her listen to some of my, I don't want to say sob stories, but to like some of my, like, the things that I've been going through, and the stuff that just, it was just not right for me to put on her shoulders like that. I mean, she's younger too. She was what, 19, 20 years old too. Way too freaking young to be able to carry all that weight. And that's something that I should have dealt with before I went into that relationship with her. Um, so that I wouldn't have been such a bad boyfriend in that aspect. So yeah, I was very insecure. So I think I was very needy. I do remember being needy, and that put a very like a strain on the relationship because what all she had known is, I mean, she had great parents, especially a great mom. Shout out to her. But she what was I going to say? She had a really nice family life back home, and like just family life, and I did not. So like she was feeling secure in places I wasn't. So then I wouldn't lash out, but I would get distant, and then she'd have to like kind of calm me through it, and it was just not right. Um, yeah, it was emasculating, and it just put her in a bad place. So bad boyfriend Josue, that was not good. Um, and then one thing I will say is mega embarrassing. Um, I wasn't terribly good with money at the time either. So that was also one of the reasons why I was a bad boyfriend. Um, son of a gun. Anyway, so there's that. Now I just wanted to make sure to be as open and as vulnerable as honest, because that's something that I want to require and I guess talk about with some of our other guests as well. So again, that's just who I was. Now, I'm not the only reason why the relationship failed or why I wasn't or just why we aren't together. It's not it wasn't just a me thing, but it's a lot easier for me to process some of these things if I can say or focus on what I can control versus what I can control. Now, there were some things about her that drove me insane. So, for example, again, I will in this part have to be a little bit more reserved. Forgive me, I have to burp. That's terrible. But I will have to be more reserved because it's more about protecting her what do I call it, her reputation more than anything. It's not mine to disparage, and she's a great girl. So if she's listening to this, or if somebody shows this to her, or if any of you ever run into her by accident or something like that, just know that she's a great girl. But one of the things that didn't work out for me about who she was at the time, again, this is a long time ago at this point, is that she was not affectionate, and I need affection. And that's just something that I guess as Hispanics, we're very affectionate. I mean, even at church, like I mean, I think Abby and I talked about it, where if you go to like a more American style church, you either just say hello from afar, you don't even like shake hands or anything, or if you do, you shake hands. Whereas our church, there's multiple hugs like before you get to your seat, you're gonna have multiple people hug you. How are you? And then you have your kisses on the cheek, or as this other girl showed me, kisses on both cheeks and things like that, and much more affectionate. Now, even at home, my mom was not as affectionate as I would have liked, or my dad. So I guess I needed it more. And again, it was not for me right to like put it on her, I guess, that much. But she wasn't affectionate almost at all, and that was an issue for me. Not to say that it will be for her next boyfriend or husband or whatever. It was for me. That was a huge thing. And then another thing that I will say is that I wasn't a fan of how involved her parents were in the relationship, where I didn't really feel like what do you call it, like it was just like I felt like a relationship between us. It always felt like a three-way or like a four-way even with both of her parents. But yeah, that's just it's just an observation. But yeah, we ended or correction, I ended things. Um, let's see. And when was this? July or June? I don't know, something like that. June or July of 2019. And then that was that. I hope she's well, honestly. I felt bad for the way I treated her in a lot of ways. So I've already, like I mentioned it. So there was that. Whew, that was heavy. Okay. I have some other questions here for dating history. Like I have an if yes and if no. So the other one was if yes, what was that person like? I think I went through that a little bit. What kind of relationship did you have? Whether it was like a situationship or a legitimate relationship. All four were legitimate relationships. What drew you two together? I think I did go through that. I was a nice kid, so I guess she liked me. That's not bad. Um, how long were you guys together? I think I mentioned for 3 years. Why are you no longer together? talked about that. And then how has the breakup affected you? Wow. Okay, so that one, I don't want to drop my iPad. The breakup has affected me in a lot of ways. Well, first of all, I have a new language now. Um, there's that. I haven't lost all of it, so that's good. Um, and then it affected me in the sense that I will never make the same mistakes, and I say never in a humble way, in the sense that like I will do everything in my power to not make the same mistakes, because I saw the way that I hurt her and it broke me. So I've been working nonstop on myself since then to make sure that I don't do that again. So I'm much more planned. I'm talking like a stupid amount of planned now. I'm much more responsible with like money. Um, I'm just an all around better guy because I don't want to hurt my next girlfriend, and just because I want to be a better guy. So if you're out there and you're hearing this, uh, thank you for, I guess, changing my life. And I'm sorry that I guess I had to be that way, but yeah, I am like 100 times a better man than I was then. Um, and I say that humbly because it's been a long road, and um, yeah, I can't live with that again. So there was that. All right. So, ooh, that was heavy. Next section is lessons learned. Okay, so what are some mistakes you've made that others can learn from? Oh man, what are some mistakes that I've made that others can learn from? Number one, um, you have to, if you're in a long distance relationship, do not start without an end date. Do not start without an end date, meaning that you have to set a date and you have to meet that date, because ambiguity is not going to help either of you. And it doesn't help with the planning. It doesn't help with projecting. It doesn't help with anything. So I wouldn't recommend long distance personally, but I've been hurt. So again, I'm biased towards that. But if you are going to embark on a long distance relationship, um, begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey says. Um, there's no other way around it. I don't know how else to put it. It just has to be that way. Um, yeah, don't make the same mistake I did. So, let's see what else. What other mistakes have I made? Um, save up your dinero. Have a lot of money. Women are expensive. Um, at least in my experience. So, yeah, there's that. Um, what other lessons have I learned? Um, I don't know. What other lessons have I learned? I've learned so much. Compliment women. Oh, okay. Another one. Be honest. Be brutally honest about how you're feeling. Don't just try to say things to make a girl like you, or to to motivate her to do something for you. Be totally honest about things. Or like, oh well, she's not gonna like me if I don't, if I say this, or if I don't say that, or if I don't listen to that kind of music, blah blah blah. Dude, who cares, man? Like, you got to be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, that disingenuous energy is going to project, and women can smell right through that. And also, you just don't take a lot of crap from women if you're honest. You can be like, don't treat me that way. I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like the way you're talking to me. Change your tone if you're talking to me. Like, period. Um, yeah, things like that. Um, what else have I learned? Oh, this is another one. Do not invite a girl to travel with you as a way to get to know her. Don't do that. It is not ideal. Does not work. I've done it. Do not make the same mistake as I did. So there's that. What other lessons have I learned? There is such thing as love at first sight. Correction, infatuation at first sight. It's happened to me. It's happened to me multiple times, and yeah, it's real. I would say it's definitely real. So don't believe that it's not, because it's out there. It's happened to me, like I said. So um, it unfortunately was with women who aren't in the church, so I couldn't really pursue it any further, which is disappointing. But yeah, love is out there, man. I don't know. You just have to be on the lookout. Also, like, have the right energy if you're a guy out there. Have a positive outlook on, like, on life and women and just things, because, like, there's a lot of guys out there um like listen to some of these podcasts that are just garbage, honestly. Some friend told me about the Whatever podcast, and I was like, oh, like I've seen clips from them, and all it is men bashing on women. And I'm like, do you really want to enter the dating space with that kind of mentality of bashing on women? Really? Like, is that really what you want to do? To go in there thinking, oh, these women are trash? It's like, nah, man. You got to go in there looking for good stuff so you can find the good stuff. What else? Keep a positive outlook. This is a huge one. Excuse me, more burping. Make a lot of female friends. Make a lot of female friends. I say that one more time. Make a lot of female friends. Now, I am a more emotional guy and I'm in touch with my emotions. So it is easy for me to relate to women because I have an understanding a little bit of what they're going through. So it's been beneficial to me to make a lot of female friends because in getting to know their nature, how they think, and just being comfortable around them, it attracts more women to you. I've seen it happen. It happens to me all the time. So if I have like a female friend, um, we're just hanging out, we're having a good time, more women are more prone to come up to me or to be more comfortable coming up to me and talking to me and just being around me than if not. So if you're a guy, make friends with girls, like a lot of women. Now, I make it a point to not make it romantic because there's a lot of value in platonic relationships. There's a lot of value in that I think a lot of guys overlook. Like, just because you don't think a girl is pretty does not mean that that she doesn't have a lot to offer you, or a lot to offer. I should say, yeah, a lot to offer you as a friend. I feel like a lot of women have a lot of things to offer that aren't just in a romantic sense. But I think a lot of guys overlook that for whatever freaking reason and don't make a lot of female friends and don't get to know the psyche of women, or don't get to give you the feedback of saying, hey, like, I'm thinking X, Y, and Z, like would this work on you? I've done that, and it's been a joke, and it's worked out well, but I've built rapport with these women to where I can be like, okay, X, Y, and Z, this is what I'm thinking. And again, going back to the being honest part, 100% honest, you got to start with your intentions up front. So the thing with having like a lot of female friends is that one or two are bound to maybe grow feelings for you. That's happened to me. But if you start with your intentions up front, you're already clear. You're already ahead of the curve, where if she does come say something to you, then you can be like, hey, like, I honestly, I enjoy our time together, but I don't see you in that way. And I hope that's okay, that we can continue to be friends. If not, I completely understand, but I enjoy your company and I want to continue being friendly with you. Again, that probably sounds terrible, or I don't know. But the point is that goes back to the whole being honest about your intentions and beginning with the end in mind. Now, if that changes, then you can kind of go through that yourself. But that's something I've definitely learned, to do that. Be honest and make a lot of female friends. They are a good help to you. Let's see. Any advice? I feel like I'm ranting here. I'm trying to think of something else that I've learned recently. As guys, if you have something or a correction, be interesting. So what do I mean by be interesting? So, or maybe it's just me who is a little bit eccentric and who does a lot of random fun things. I don't know. That could be just me, but the more interesting you are, the better. So do interesting things, try new things, like start a business and fail and then talk about the failure, but at least show that you have the cojones to try. I mean, I've had a lot of failures in my life. I'm not ashamed of talking about those. That's the reason why I'm here. And, I guess that makes you more endearing to women too. And again, it's not just about that. It's just about being honest about who you are. But again, the more interesting that you are, the more that you have to talk about that isn't just about, the daily things in life. Oh, what's like what do you do for work? What's your favorite color? How many siblings do you have? Those are all boring things that I personally like. It's not that I don't care. I just don't care. I don't know how else to phrase that. It's just not that interesting right off the bat. Like when you're getting to know somebody like with a romantic intent, you want to get to know like who this person is outside of the basic facts. So my theory is that like if you can have an amazing conversation without getting to know those things, you're already halfway there. That means you have chemistry, because a lot of the time that you're going to be together, you're already going to know the favorite color, the siblings question, what she does for work, etc., to the point where it's complete. Like if it's going to become irrelevant later on in the relationship, what is that going to look like now? Like, can you have a conversation that's not like that? And the more interesting things that you do, the more that you're passionate about something, the more that I guess you'll have a better connection with somebody, and that goes both ways. That's not just a guy thing. But yeah, I would say that's like, I guess, an advice I could give: be interesting. I guess it's interesting about me. So that's something I would ask. Like, so like if I'm on a date, I'd be like, so tell me what's interesting about you, or what's something about you that not a lot of people know, or something like that. So I guess if I had to answer that, what's interesting about me, I guess I'm a risk taker, heavy risk taker, but very calculated now because I'm a planner and I do all that. But yeah, I'm a risk taker. I've traveled a whole lot, and blah 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 blah. As probably you all who are listening to this know me. But yeah, so cool. Whew, yeah, that was crazy. Okay, next section. What am I looking for? Paint a picture for the audience. Oh man. Okay, paint a picture for the audience. I gotta be vulnerable for this. I gotta be honest. Okay, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a woman who I'm attracted to physically. That has varied throughout the years. And yeah, I would say that's like the main criteria. I guess as a guy, I just want to get that off, just uh, just off the board. But in terms of personality, I need her to be able to be interesting and be able to converse and talk. I can't handle silence or somebody who doesn't have an interesting original thought. I just can't do it. I've done it. It's no good. It's terrible. It's soul sucking. Um, so somebody who's a good conversationalist and who has interesting ideas of their own, and so I guess that would involve somebody who has done the deep work, who has done the emotional work, that I've now gone through, and it takes a lot of time to get, or at least it took me a couple of years to get through. But yeah, somebody who has thought about some things, and who is able to, I guess, rebut me, and who is able to contradict me, and win an argument or two. That sounds terrible. Oh my god, I just said that out loud. But yeah, just somebody who has thought things out, and who, or is in the process of that. I don't care if you're in the process, just someone who is interesting up here in the cabeza. So that's personality wise. In terms of profession, I would say I'm not that. I wouldn't say I'm picky at all. Would I want somebody in my own profession? That's interesting. I would love it in the sense that we could work together in a lot of things. So it'd be like a hive mind mentality, where it'd be like her and I would have like a super mind, like type thing, where that would be super sexy actually. But I don't think that would be um ideal. Maybe not ideal. I don't know. Correction. I think I would love that. But I'm not enamored to that part exclusively, if that makes sense. So if she's in the medical field, she's in the medical field. Well, actually, my sister and I were talking about how um, a nurse would be perfect for me, because she could have like a really flexible schedule where like we could go travel for a while and then come home for a while, travel for a while, come home for a while, and I love that. I mean, that's been my lifestyle for the last 4 years? Oh, since I broke up, honestly, holy shoot, that's true. For the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, this year I've taken off Wow, it's been almost a year since I've taken off from traveling. But yeah, so I guess a nurse would be pretty sweet in that aspect. What else? Or just somebody who can be flexible with their job. I have been feeling the need internally to slow down a little bit, just because my theory has been, or my thinking in the past has been, um, if you're like single, you have the opportunity to be more flexible and to go faster at things. And those are things that I have maximized, being fast and being flexible. So I've been able to travel to a lot of places, and I've stayed in really nice Airbnbs and really like questionable Airbnbs, but those are things that I can only do while I'm single. I can't really stay in like even like a small shack unless it's like super cute. Like I can't stay in a small shack like I did in Maine, for example, with a lady friend, because it's just not. I mean, women are just different. They require a lot more than us guys do. So things like that. But crap, I lost track of where I was. But oh yeah, somebody who can be flexible in traveling. I think I would love that. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see. In terms of personal development, what am I looking for? Okay, somebody who knows who they are. This is non-negotiable. No questions asked. You have to know who you are. And the reason is because I don't know who I'm talking to otherwise. Like if you haven't done the deep work of knowing what you want, what's gotten you here, of why do you want the things you want, and why you don't want the things you don't want, and why you're heading in such a direction. If you can't tell me that with a certain level of let's say certainty, or a level of confidence and profound thought, it's fickle. Then it's like, well, it's kind of like I was earlier on, like when I was dating um Miss Europe or something like that, where I was fickle. I was not firm. I didn't know what I wanted, and that was a huge mistake. No good. So I know kind of what I want. I know where I'm headed, and if you don't know what you want, the moment that we come to the fork in the road, you either start sacrificing things for me, and then hopefully but probably not resent me for it later on, or you are firm to what you want, and then we separate our ways. So the more that you know about yourself, the absolute better. Again, absolutely non-negotiable for me. So there's that. All right, let's see. In terms of life direction and vision, what am I looking for? Someone in terms of life direction and vision. Okay, so I need somebody who, and this is probably like a need, maybe, somebody who can handle a lot of. Okay, that's not right. So I tend to take on a lot of projects because that's just how I feel valuable. That's just how I feel. What's the word I'm looking for here? That's how I feel fulfilled. Like I have to take on a burden. If I'm not carrying something that I like, I can't do it. And it just so happens that I happen to be good at leading people, and that's been a blessing and a responsibility that I don't take lightly. That I want to make sure that like somebody that whoever's next to me can also handle the responsibility of leading people, because I will be at the front 90% of the time. And if I need to step back, I need to make sure that this woman is capable and strong enough and independent enough to be able to handle that burden, if should she be called to it, and should it be called upon her to do it. And I realize that that's not for everyone, and I know it's not for everyone. So I can't. That's limits my options even more. So I need somebody who can be a leader, a woman who can. I mean, I'm happy to carry 90% of the burden, but when it comes to her carrying her 10% or switching momentarily or for a little bit of time, I guess I need her to be able to do that as well. I do envision myself. Doing a lot of ministry. So if she is not ministry oriented or minded or creative in that sense, I may have a problem. And we may not be together for long, because I don't know what else to do with my life other than ministry. Like, what else am I supposed to do? Like, photography, that's a whole lot of fun. Okay, fine. You do that. Travel, that's a whole lot of fun. Okay, I do that. I design websites. Okay, I go ahead and do that. But now what? It's just like again, I've done so much in my 20s that I keep circling back to ministry. There's nothing more fulfilling than using the skills to do more and more ministry, to just serve people, to do things. I just don't know what else to do with my time. Um, that feels fulfilling, I guess. Like, you can go to restaurants, you can travel here or there, you can do a lot of things, but those are like what, once a week things? Those are 2 times a week things. But when it comes to like life stuff, I would want somebody who is enamored to ministry as much as I am, because if she's not enamored to ministry, she's not going to enjoy the life that I lead us into, and that cannot happen. So, in terms of life direction and vision, she's got to be willing to be a leader in her own right. She has to um, love ministry. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. And then lastly here, in terms of lifestyle, what kind of woman do I want in terms of lifestyle? Um, am I a homebody? So that's interesting. So I spend most of my time at home, because this is where my work is. This is where the podcast is. This is where I edit pictures. You can only take so many pictures before you have to edit. I swear to God, I have like thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures I haven't edited yet for my various trips that I just don't even want to tackle, because it's just I don't know, maybe I'm just afraid of tackling it and see what happens. But the point is that um yeah, in terms of lifestyle, I'm not a homebody, although I do spend a lot of time at home. And what I mean by I'm not a homebody but I spend a lot of time at home is the fact that um I like to do things outside, but because my work brings me home, that's why I'm home, not because I necessarily choose to be here. So, like, I don't like to watch a lot of movies, and by that, I mean, people would laugh at me. I know Esmeralda would laugh at me. I watch a lot of movies and shows, but I do it while I work. So it's not like I can actually sit down and just watch it with you. I would feel like naked, like something is missing. I feel like, oh man, like something's up, like we're like, like what's up? So to that end, I would say I'm not a homebody because I can't just sit still. I honestly can't. I mean, even with my free time from work and whatnot, I mean, I'm doing a podcast, I'm doing this extra content and stuff like that, which is supposed to be our off season, but I just can't sit still. And again, it's a ministry, and I know it'll help a lot of people who maybe have been in my situation, who haven't been in my situation. I don't know, to, I guess, not make the same mistakes. But yeah, I guess somebody who likes to go out, not like to live outside like all the time, but yeah, I would say somebody who likes to try new things. I'm a huge trier of new things. So yeah, somebody who's like that, 100%. Okay, the sun is shining, almost shining on my face. By the way, for those of you who don't know or who missed it, this is on YouTube. You can find the link in the description of this. In the description of this podcast episode. You can go ahead and just see me sit here and just ramble on about my life and my single experience. So cool. The last area is, what do I have to offer? Why is Josue single, and what does Josue have to offer to, I call her Matilda now, but Rachel out there. Oh, okay. So that's another thing. So why do I call her Rachel? Um, Rachel was this girl from high school who, again, pseudonym, we'll just call her Rachel. She was this girl from high school who taught me what the word like love meant. Man, that sounds really deep. But she was very affectionate with me. She was very kind to me, and I really enjoyed her attention. And I've modeled a lot of the women that I like after, quote unquote, Rachel. And she has a boyfriend now, and I think they're gonna get married, honestly. But Rachel, I hope. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to end up with someone who, who's a so-called Rachel or Matilda, but who's like her, let's say. But she definitely changed my life. So there's that. Quick aside. Anyway, what does Josue have to offer? Oh man, what does Josue have to offer? Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I feel like I don't have much to offer currently in terms of time, money, or uh, pretty much time and money. Um, because again, I'm in an experimental phase of my life right now by choice. I want to try some new things. So what do I have to offer? I guess at the end of my 6 months, or here, let's actually play that out. I'm thinking it out aloud with you for what does this have to offer now, as opposed to, let's say, 6 months to a year from now, when I feel like I've gone through the experimental portion of my life. Okay, so what does Josue have to offer now? Um, Josue is, I am, um, I'm very kind. I'm very, I'm very generous with what I do and what I give. Um, I'm very attentive, meaning that you'll never want for attention, if that makes sense. I'm very thoughtful. So, like, before you've already thought of something, I'm already 3 steps ahead of you, usually. Um, I don't say that to brag. I say that as a way of saying, like, I got your back, if that makes sense. Like, if you need something. Um, what else? Josue's thoughtful. Josue's kind, generous. That's true. Oh, I'm also very affectionate. Very, very affectionate. So whoever Matilda is, she can expect a lot of affection from me, whether that's hugs, holding hands, or just physical affection, whatever that looks like. Um, I'm very affectionate with that. So Matilda, whoever you are, you don't have to worry about that. That's definitely what I have to offer. Also, I'm emotionally available. Now, I mentioned that it took me a while to do the deep work, and the fact that I'm an emotional guy to begin with. But the fact that or I should say, the deep work allowed me to mix and blend the emotional side, which was kind of like, I guess, the insecure, didn't know how to handle it, with my more masculine side. Blending those two has been a blessing. And it was not easy, but I've been able to do it, thank God. And no, like I said, no one's perfect, but I would say that uh, that's something I do have to offer to Matilda out there, that I am emotionally available. So when it comes to what are you feeling, I can tell you exactly what I'm feeling. I have been in tune with my emotions for a while. I can pinpoint exactly what emotion I'm feeling, and I'm not afraid to share it. Meaning that, whereas before I wouldn't know how I'm feeling, and I'd put, my ex in a difficult position, I'd know exactly what to say now, and deal with it more myself. And I guess I have learned how to reach out when I need help, in the emotional sense. More recently, I'd been going through something with my work, that was just absolutely, like, just super frustrating to me. And I realized, God, I'm not doing quality work. What is going on? And through just prayer and thinking about it, God kind of revealed to me that I needed, this is going to sound crazy, I needed physical touch. Like, I just needed to be touched. And you, like, for the 5 languages out there, 5 love languages, you have your physical touch, you have your gift giving, acts of kindness, quality time, and words of affirmation. And for me, words of affirmation is probably number 1, physical touch number 2, quality time number 3, acts of service, probably acts of service, no, quality time, acts of service, and then gifts is probably the last thing. I mean, I like gifts, but it's not the most important thing. But I hadn't gotten that physical touch component. So what I did was I reached out to my mom, who she and I have a good relationship now. We did not for many, many years. But recently we have had a really good relationship, and it's something I'm thankful to God for every day. I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey mama, this is going to sound really weird, but I need you to just hold me for like 20, 30 minutes. It's going to sound weird, but just like rub my head, just, soothe me a little bit, and tell me it's going to be all right." And that sounds really childish, but it probably is childish. But the point is that I didn't. I needed that at that point. Mom and I didn't really have a lot of those moments when we were younger. So the fact that I needed them now, and that she was open to it, and that I was vulnerable enough to talk to her about it and be open and say I needed that, and the fact that she did that, was a new, what do you call it? Like, new heights for me. So that was really nice, and it really helped a lot, to know that, oh, okay, this is just like a lever I can press, or you don't press the lever, you press buttons, like a lever I can move, like if I'm ever feeling that type of way again, and I guess being that kind of a guy who knows that, I guess would give Matilda, again, my future, whoever she is, my future girl, give her a lot of security to know that, um, I'm not the type to lash out or to, go on a bad streak for a while, because if I do need something, be it emotional or otherwise, I will be able to handle it. I'll be able to ask for it and things like that. So, the emotional availability part is 100%, something that I have to offer and that I'm proud to be able to offer. I mentioned before, I'm very well planned. So when it comes to direction and having your ish together, that's me. I got that from the jump. Now, okay, so I did mention like 6 months from now and now. So, I mean, I do have my stuff together now in terms of like my basics. So if, let's say, I found a Matilda who is willing to build with me, with whatever, time, with whatever little money or little time I have, that's all relative. But the point is that, I don't have as much as I used to, I guess is what I'm saying. The point is that, if Matilda wanted to build with me now, and she was completely serious with it and wanting to do that, um, she would see a guy who is about his purpose and who does not stray from it. I can't go long periods of time without doing something productive. I honestly, like, I don't have any video game. Like, I can't get distracted for too long because I just, like, internally, my mind and my body will just not let me. So, yeah, you're gonna get a guy who is about his purpose, and who will not stray from it, God willing. So that's nice, and who's, again, very thoughtful and very planned. So I'm not with me. You're not gonna get the kind of guy who, makes plans for, oh, let's go out to eat at this restaurant, but doesn't check to see if you have to make reservations first, or doesn't check to see if there's parking first, or if, like, oh, it's going to take this long with traffic, etc. Like, I've already thought of all of that, and again, learning from my mistakes. So that's something that, I guess my future Matilda can look forward to. Now, 6 months from now, or whenever I decide to date, I can be more lavish with my dates. I can be much more, where I guess with my dates and with my time, yeah, I guess I can give more of what I currently have. And I guess this is just funny because I was telling somebody this earlier. She's like, you always have a plan. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly right. I always have a plan. So even when things go wrong, I have a plan B, C, and D, just to make sure that, she's comfortable, that I'm comfortable. Heck, I mean, I want to be comfortable. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about, I guess, the man I've become. And I realize it's tooting my own horn, but it's only me on the camera today, so it's fine. Um, yeah, I mean, I hope to grow closer to God, because I know the person, or the man that is to be a husband is not is needs to be more, if that makes sense. Like, the end goal here is to be married, and I want to I want to, what's the word I'm looking for here? Um, I want to be worthy of that husband title, if that makes sense. So that requires a lot of internal work. So, and a lot more God work. This is something very interesting that God had put on my heart actually yesterday, and this is something that He said so clear to me that it just shocked me. He said, "I am jealous for your attention. I am jealous for your attention." And I was like, "Dang, okay, my bad." Like, whew. And what he meant by that was that the man I want to become, and the man that, you know, Matilda wants me to be, is a man who is more in tune with God than what I am right now. And that scared me, because I am in tune with God. I am. I read the Bible all the time. I preach all the time. I would say I have a good relationship with God. But the fact that He's calling me to be closer still, um, I guess, is, shocked me, and also encouraging, in the sense that, man, okay, God really wants to be close to me, because as men, we have the responsibility of being the both leaders and, subservient to God, and the fact that our women are going to trust us to lead them, um, is a huge responsibility that I don't want to take lightly. And I guess what God was saying to me was, "Hey, I know you want your Matilda, but if you want to be a good, like a good Boaz, you got to come closer still." And I heard, like, I was like, "Okay, God, I hear you and I see you." So I'm going to be trying my best to get closer to God, closer still, I should say, because that's really the only way through this, through this season of singleness, and through this season of building and experimenting with stuff and trying new things. So, yeah, that's what I have to offer. um, the second to last question is, what do you bring to the relationship? And oh gosh, what does Josue bring to the relationship? Um, yeah, I don't know, stability, excitement, planned excitement. I'm not very good. I think I mentioned this before. I'm not very good with the spontaneity. I'm not terrible at it. I'm just good, but I'm not great at it. Um, but I guess I would want somebody who can bring spontaneity into my life, and then I can build a structure around that, so that we can have a lot of fun together. So yeah, that's interesting. And then what is unique about you? Ooh, wow. What is unique about me? Um, I guess what's unique about me, or one way to categorize me, is by the saying that a jack of all trades is a master of none. And I am a jack of all trades. I am a jack of a lot of trades. I can talk about a lot of things, and I know a lot of things, and that's very unique about me. And the fact that God has blessed me with smarts makes me a really good jack of all trades. And what's interesting about that saying is that a jack of all trades is what do you call it? A jack of all trades is not a master of none, but it finishes off by saying, but still a master, but still better than a master of one. So I guess the fact that I'm multifaceted and that I am I am not risk averse, so I'm very happy to like jump into new things and try new things, while still providing a nice structure is unique. Yeah, I would say that's pretty unique to me. So whew. So that's it. That's me. Why am I single? Because I choose to be, and certain circumstances. So I guess another question that I didn't put on here, but I guess I do want to make sure to put on in the future is like, what do you see your single life looking like in the next 6 months? Um, I see it. Well, I still see myself continuing to be single. I don't see myself dating anytime like within the next 6 months. But I do see myself getting closer to some friends. So I don't know. Yeah, I do see that. Um, Looking forward to that. So yeah, that's my single story. Hope you guys learned something from it. I've been talking to this microphone now for a little under 90 minutes. Thank you for listening. Yeah, looking forward to other single stories. And if there's any, oh yeah, that's also another thing. If you have any questions for me about my single life or anything like that, or any lessons that I've learned or things that I would do differently, or just anything that I either briefly touched upon or completely omitted, please hit me up on Instagram at it's attractive, literally ITS attractive. Just shoot me a DM. I'm all there, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Again, vulnerable, open, and honest. So yeah, thank you for listening. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.